Hello and welcome back everyone. How are you doing? I hope that you're spending a wonderful time. How's your family doing? I hope that all of your family members are doing just pretty good and you're spending a wonderful time with my course. And today we will go over another lesson as usual, and in today's lesson we will include another technique to improve your speaking skills. It's level 4. I will bombard you with different techniques to improve your speaking skills. And remember that all of my techniques are pretty easy. I'm not going to tell you any complicated techniques, so you just tell yourself, okay, this is too complicated for me, this is too hard for me, which I'm unable to bear it, I'm unable to just apply it in my life. But before we go over that technique, listen to that audio track carefully and answer the questions at the end of the audio track.
I wish we didn't need cosmetics. We spend so much time and money on them. And for what? We take them off at night, only to put them all on again in the morning. If you think about it, they're amazingly expensive. Why does a lipstick or a small tube of cream cost so much? The really expensive cosmetics don't actually make you look that different than really cheap ones. A lot depends too on your skill, choosing the right colours to match your face, and how you put your makeup on. I sometimes laugh at the ladies selling cosmetics in department stores. They're meant to be experts, but they look like clowns. I mean, do they really need to paint their faces? One thing I worry about is whether the chemicals damage your skin.
Welcome back everyone. And in today's technique, we will also take write a story, or we just take a story. You can use AI, ChatGPT, or Gemini, or Cloud AI, any AI sport. Just tell it to write a story to just give you a random text, or you can just talk about your day, okay? Just write something about your day. Today, I did this, I did that, I saw this, I met this person, I bought this, I saw this, I visited this place, and so on. Just write a random text about your day. And then what you could do is change the speaker, change the subject, change the pronoun. So in the original text, you were talking about yourself, but now you need to change the subject and talk about another one. Now talk about your sister. Now change it to your brother. Now change it to your friends. Now change it to another subject. Use you, use they. How? I'm going to give you maybe 2 or 3 examples so you just know how I'm using this technique. I wake up early every morning, I brush my teeth, eat breakfast and get ready for school. On the way, I listen to music. I usually sit in the front row and try to answer the teacher's questions. The front row, I mean inside the class. After school, I do my homework and help my brother and help my mother in the kitchen. Okay, this is a very, very easy story about yourself. Like everybody in level 4 can write such a story about their lives, right? So now let's change it to she. Okay, so now let's change the subject to she. So what we will say is, she wakes up early every morning, she brushes her teeth, eats breakfast and gets ready for school. On the way, she listens to music. She usually sits in the front row and tries to answer the teacher's questions. After school, she does her homework and helps her mother in the kitchen. This was one example. Now let's switch to example number 2, which we will change the pronoun he to we. He went to the football field last Friday. By field, we sometimes you hear pitch. Okay, it's the same, football field or pitch, or sometimes you even hear the stadium. He played with his team and scored 2 goals. Everyone cheered for him. After the match, he went to a cafe and had lunch. He felt happy and proud of himself. This was the second example. Now let's change the narrator, the speaker, the subject of this text. What we could do is change he to we. We went to the football field last Friday. We played with our team and scored 2 goals. Everyone cheered for us. After the match, we went to a cafe and had lunch. We felt happy and proud of ourselves. Next example. We will change we to they. We are studying for our final exams this week. We are going to the library every day and reviewing our notes. Sometimes we study together and sometimes we sit alone. We all want to pass with high grades. Now change it to they. They are studying for their final exams this week. They are going to the library every day for reviewing their notes. Sometimes they study together and sometimes they sit alone. They all want to pass with high grades. This was the third example, and as you can see, and this trick, side by side, improving your speaking skills, you're also improving your grammar skills, because one of the common mistakes that the English learners do is, misusing the subjects and pronouns. So once you use a subject, the pronoun, the object must be in correspondence to that one, or must be in accordance to that subject. They must agree with each other.
Okay. So this is going to be my last question, so you can catch up with the other students. Based on your experience with the other countries that you've been to, what do you like about them and what do you hate about them? Or let's say what you don't like about them. I think it's going to be more appropriate, And when you compare it to
I don't hate any of them.
So what do you least like them like?
So teaching in Japan, I was in Japan for a couple of years, and they were very studious. They were very hardworking and they were very dedicated, but they were also very quiet. So it took a very, very long time to entice them almost into talking, which made the conversation parts of my lessons quite difficult. But I always really respected and really loved how dedicated they were to learning English.
Do they
definitely
do
preferred
it as usual, like the
yes,
Koreans?
they actually do. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I started doing that as well. It just becomes part of your life, bowing. And then Italians are like the polar opposite. They're really loud and they're really expressive and they really want to speak in English all the time. And then it's really hard to get them to stop and listen.
Exactly. Yeah. I have some Italian friends. I usually tell them that you have two mouths. One mouth is in your hand that you do, and one mouth is in your face like this.
Yeah. So when it came to correcting them or getting them to adjust pre-learned mistakes with Italian students, that was very difficult because they were just so busy trying to be. That made it quite difficult. But yeah, I loved teaching both, to be honest.
So is it easy to make friends in Japan since they're quiet and tedious?
It does take a long time. Yeah, it takes a long time to get to know Japanese people. But I will say, once you become their friend, they are incredibly loyal and you are their friend for life. Now I'm back in England, I'm still talking to my friends in Japan, and they're very, very loyal people, but it does take longer for them to become comfortable with you so that you can be friends with them.
That's cool. And how do you keep them motivated when somebody loses their interest? How do you cheer them up?
Student motivation. It's very difficult when a student becomes disengaged, isn't it? I think a lot of encouragement, and also I think sometimes a bit of self-review will help with motivation. So a lot of times, especially with intermediate learners, they become frustrated that they're not learning as fast as they were when they were basic, because you sort of plateau, don't you? You become this level and it takes longer to, So I quite like to review and show them how far they've come, because they don't feel like they're progressing, but I can see that they're progressing. And also with motivation, I think personalizing lessons, if you have the opportunity to have a one-on-one tuition with a student and you know their interests and you know what they dislike, you can tailor the lessons to sort of encourage them to enjoy that lesson, and it will encourage them into learning.
Mm-hmm. I do agree. I do that actually on the phone with most of my students. They sometimes feel disengaged. You have to engage them and connect them to the lessons again.
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult parts about language learning as well, when you become frustrated because you just don't feel like you're getting better.
One of the effective methods that I do use and suggest to my students is to study in group. At least you have one student, a roommate, a classmate, some friends that he or she has the same level as you, and you study my course. This is one of the, let's say, most effective advice that I've ever given to my students, and I see that they can progress when I tell them to study in group instead of studying individually.
Study buddy. Yeah, everyone needs a study buddy.
I do. So
yeah, I think that's good in most parts of learning because you almost it gives that level of commitment as well, because if you're studying by yourself and you're a bit tired, you won't. But if you've arranged to study with your friend or your study buddy, like even though you're tired and you can't really be bothered, you will still do that because you've made that plan. So it gives you commitment.
And sometimes this jealousy feeling that when your friend is progressing and you stop and your jealousy start to arise.
Yeah.
So that does work.
No, I think that's a really good idea.
Great, guys. So now we will move to the next section, which is the pronunciation section. And for today, again, we will be having a silent letter tip. Okay, and today we will go over the silent letter B. We will see where and when the B is silent. So usually speaking, when M is followed by B, the B becomes silent. Or in other words, when there is M letter before the B becomes silent. We don't pronounce the B. As in the word bomb. Yes, in Kurdish we say bomb, atomic bomb, but no, in English you must say bomb. Or in the American pronunciation you say bomb. As we said, in the American pronunciation you usually change the O in the beginning of the words to R. So you basically say bomb. Okay, so bomb. It's not bomb, the B is silent. It's climb. When you climb a mountain, climb. Comb, okay, comb. Thumb. This is thumb, okay, your big finger. This is thumb. Dumb, when someone is really full, you call them dumb. Lamb is a meat we eat. Okay, lamb. Scum. Limb. Okay, usually when you go to a butcher shop and you want to buy meat, you can say I want limb. Okay, I want limb. This is limb. Then you have numb. Numb is when you don't feel anything. Okay, sometimes you sit for a long time, let's say on a couch, on the floor, and then suddenly you cannot feel your legs. You can say, oh my God, my legs are numb, which means they are feeling this. I cannot feel them. Okay, this is called numb. Then you have plumb, and you have a couple of words which like they are not like, those words are not like, okay, we have M before the B. No, they are sometimes, they are somehow different, and they are debt, doubt, subtle. The B is followed by T in all of them, so you don't pronounce the B. Debt, doubt, subtle. Subtle means very precise. Okay, subtle. Okay, subtle. So you don't say debit. Debit is wrong. Daubit is wrong, or dobit. Subtle is wrong. Okay, but you might say subtitle. Subtitle is okay. Okay, subtitle is okay, but this one is subtle. Doubt, debt. Sometimes you say, do you doubt me? Or do you have doubts? These were some examples that the B letter was silent in them. I hope that you can practice them. And if you ask me how can I practice them, just put them in different and random sentences. Okay, and now we will switch to the movie suggestion section. There I will be suggesting to you a very nice movie to watch. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful time, and bye-bye.